Welcome back to the Dynasty Rewind, everybody. I'm your host, Michael Bauer. The best in the business is back in business. We have a guest tonight. We're going to get to him in just a minute. But until then, I'm going to introduce my co-host. Joining me like always, we got Pork Man. What's going on, Pork?
Hey, I'm doing good. Just a little bit of a rough day for me, but I'm here. I'm ready to mock with the boys.
Yeah, hauling around all that pure spring water is going to be down. Joining me also, we got Nate Christian. How's it going, Nate?
It's going pretty good. I think these past two classes have been incredible, so I'm excited to talk about them, comparing the two of them.
Okay, great. And also joining us, you can find him on Twitter at Dynasty Outhouse, and he is one of the hosts of the Trade Addicts podcast. We have Russ Fisher. Russ, did I get your last name right? Please tell me.
You absolutely did.
All right, great. Russ, how you doing? Great to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm glad to be here. I mean, I'm glad that, well, not glad. It's nice to know that I had to actually join your Patreon to get an invite here. That's what it takes. That's cool. That's good to know.
Is false, because I think I talked to you about coming on beforehand, and we just made a plan to wait until after the draft.
Well, so yeah. Hey, Russ, do you want to talk, deep rookies, running backs? I don't know what that means. What are deep rookie running backs? Can you trade those? I don't know. All right. Yeah, I know. I'm just messing around. Yeah, I was supposed to come on in April, and you were supposed to come on Dynasty Game Night, which I just haven't made a game in like 2 months. So, we both dropped the ball on that one.
Rocky did ask me, but unfortunately it was a little last minute and I was not able to make it. But I will definitely get back on Dynasty Game Night at some point. We'll get on first time. So before we get to it, I have to share the screen with everybody. So give me 1 second. I am old and I have a hard time with technology. So
that's the truth.
Here is our mock draft. For those of you watching on YouTube, here's the mock. Everyone can calm down now. I had like 6 or 7 people on, so I didn't want to be looking at tiny squares. That's why I didn't have the mock draft on. Plus, that was not necessarily just for YouTube. It was for our podcast release. But to my right, your left, however you're looking at it, this is the mock draft. So I'm just going to introduce everyone that's not on the screen right now. So mocking in the number 1 position, we got, his name is Kevin. You can find him on Twitter at DuBois_22. Unfortunately, he is a Cowboys fan. Regardless, he's a really cool dude. He is one of the co-hosts of the Devi Royale. We also have our resident IDP guy at number 2, Bob Van Duzer at BobVan_IDP. At number 3, we have our intern. So these two guys should be sniping each other all night. That is Sean Fournier at Rewind Intern. Then we have a couple patrons here. We have Steve Reyers. Hopefully I said it right. We also have Justin Wright. And then at the 1-6, we have Ben Eby, and you can find him at the Ben Eby. And he hosts the Elite Seekers podcast, which is a fantastic Devi podcast that is part of the Destination Devi crew over there. Fantastic stuff. At the 1-7, we have Nate Christian. You can find him on Twitter at NateNFL. We have Neil. And Neil, I'm going to say your name wrong. I'm sorry. Neil Mackekern, I think is how you say it. He's drafting at the 1-8. Myself is taking up the 1-9. Porkman at FF_Porkman. Or is there an underscore?
There's no underscore. You added underscore.
Wow.
At the 1-10. We got Russ at Dynasty Outhouse at the 1-11. And Alexa Delarocco at Alexa Talks Trades at the 1-12. So it's going to be a good time. I'm just going to let everybody know that it's going to be starting shortly. Until then, Russ, please tell everyone everything that you do and where they could find you while I get this draft started. How's that sound?
Sure. I mean, that'll give you plenty of time to set all this up because I talk too much. So, I do too many things. I am one of the hosts of the Trade Addicts podcast. Also one of the hosts of Dynasty Game Night. Both of those shows on the DLF family of podcasts. Also, Trade Addicts is part of the Dynasty Addicts podcast network, the DAP network. Also, I am on the DLF Trade Show, which is a YouTube show, me and Addison Hayes. I probably should not be a jerk and only mention Addison, but also say Rocky Petrella is my co-host on, and what's my show called again? Trade Addicts Pod. Rocky has jumped in to host DGN also, but then there's Matt Price and John Bosch. They're like the same person at this point, so I just kind of combine their names. And I mean, like, I always list the stuff I do, and I can never remember. Like, I feel like there's more, and I just don't know it anymore. But like, chances are, you turn on a podcast, you hear me talking about something because I don't say no to people anyway. So I just like talking football, which is why I had no idea what I signed up for. I just heard there's a mock going on. Hey, Russ, you want to do that? Okay, all right, I'm here.
Well, here we are. So again, this is going to be a super flex draft that is not tight end premium. we're not drafting these players based on what we know now. We are drafting them as prospects coming out of college. So just imagining this is before one massive NFL draft. All these guys are prospects of one class. How do we like them? It's going to be interesting. So let's go ahead and start the draft. Kevin's going to be on the clock with the 1-1, and I will not be putting any comments up because I'm going to put things on full screen so I can actually see the mock draft because of these right here. So Trevor Lawrence goes off at the 1-1, and I will pause as need be throughout the draft if we need to discuss anything here. So, we could just kind of talk, and then I figure what we could do is pause. I don't need to explain every pick, right? So, for you guys, is there any strategy that we have here? We're talking a bigger class than normal. Obviously, no IDP. Sorry, Bob.
Lots of quarterbacks.
Lots of quarterbacks, yeah.
Lots of quarterbacks in this first round.
Beginning.
So you think there could be some really good value in the second, third round for quarterbacks?
Not for quarterbacks, but there's going to be a lot of value just like wide receivers. That's what it's going to be.
So I set it up as 10 rounds just because, your average rookie draft, 4 to 5 rounds. I set it as 10. If it's less than that, it's less than that. That's fine. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where I wanted to make sure that we got everybody up there to talk about that we need.
If we're going 10 rounds, I'm drafting Puka.
Oh gosh, don't do that.
I figured you would if we went 6 rounds.
You might be right.
Still taking Puka.
We're drafting 10 rounds. I'm going to be on auto pick because I'm going to fall asleep before we get there.
Yes.
Well, we're trying to keep the podcast about 45 minutes or so, so I don't think we're going to be going 10 rounds. Take all.
Oh man, then we better keep going. We got to go fast.
I set it up at 2 minutes per pick. I wanted to make sure everybody had time to make their picks, and so far, all quarterbacks going off the board, which is surprising to me because Maddie, who's part of the crew here, he's also a proponent of take Najee early, and if you have another pick, come back and double dip on a quarterback later, maybe even a lesser quarterback. Kyle Pitts is being heralded as a generational talent here, but I guess when we're combining those classes, the quarterbacks are just going to keep going. Yeah. So
right now,
I was about to say, I think we're at the point where someone's going to steal who I would hope to have magically have fallen to 11 in Jonathan Taylor, which clearly did not happen for me.
So, is that a tier break there after the quarterbacks? Is that what we're seeing right here?
I would say so. I feel as though there were a lot of people higher on Tua at this point. I wasn't, obviously, but we'll see. They just took him here, but
much as
Nate, you were high on him at that time.
Year, so
yeah, you did. That's what I'm saying, based off of last year. So I feel as though he probably would have had a Jonathan Taylor at that time.
I don't know, man. Like there was way too many super flex rookie drafts where CEH and Taylor went 1-2, which I love. Don't get me wrong, because that means I got value on Burrow and Tua. But if you ask me, at least Jonathan Taylor belongs in the same tier as these quarterbacks because I think he is that dude at running back.
Yeah. So even though the different positions, I actually had Jonathan Taylor and Tua graded out the same on my grading scale for prospects. So it's really a toss-up for me, just positional value. So I went with quarterback, but I didn't even have the chance to get Taylor here. But last year I was drafting quarterback over a running back like Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah. So was I.
Oh man, I clicked the remove button instead of the draft button. I've never used Sleeper before. I'd say it's embarrassing, but I do dumb crap like this all the time. Hold on.
Russ, I'm just curious, how have we never used Sleeper before? Are you strictly an MFL guy? Or?
I am 100% an MFL guy. See, the thing is, I work in front of my computer all day. I barely ever touch my phone. And Sleeper really is meant to be an app.
Yeah.
And its website is, well, we'll just call it not great. So I tried it once and I'm like, no, it's not for me. And I've just stuck to MFL. Plus, I like having as much stuff on the same place as possible.
But I paused it there after the first round. I will say the one thing that's great about Sleeper is it's free. So that's why
that is always nice. Yeah.
We're doing this right here. So let's just take a glance at the first round. Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Justin Fields, and Trey Lance, picks 1 through 5. Then we saw a little bit of a quarterback tier break. Ben Eby goes Jonathan Taylor at the 1-6. Nate hops back on the quarterback wagon there at the 1-7, going with Tua Tagovailoa. Then we see more running backs. Clyde Edwards-Helaire at the 1-8. I took Najee Harris at the 1-9. Porkman goes J.K. Dobbins at the 1-10. Russ, you take DeAndre Swift at the 1-11. CeeDee Lamb, the first wide receiver off the board at 1-12. I just want to take a minute to say the J.K. Dobbins pick, one thing that I've been really preaching to people is everybody loved J.K. Dobbins when he went into a much more crowded backfield last year in Baltimore. And Javonte Williams is going into this year in Denver. People are like, oh, well, Melvin Gordon's there, blah, blah, blah. You have much more talented running backs in front of J.K. Dobbins and two of them than you do right now in front of Javonte Williams. So don't fade Javonte because Melvin Gordon's there. It would be foolish. But does anything else? I mean, I feel like this first round is kind of chalk for the two classes that we're doing right here. Does anyone have anything to add before we move on to the second round?
I just think Lamb, I think being at the end is kind of, I mean, I was choosing between Lamb and Swift, but I remember last year when Harris decided to stay back, I think I still had him after Dobbins. And again, we're talking like one spot, and does one spot really matter in the long run? But you were talking about Dobbins, and I wanted to put out my fanboyish feelings about J.K. Dobbins right now, that he should go above Najee Harris. Yeah,
that's pretty much what I was going to say, because J.K. was my RB1 last year. So, I mean, I would have took him over Taylor, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and, well, probably not Harris. I probably would have had Harris slightly ahead of him, just based off of his build. But it's like 1A and 1B for me.
All right, so I won't call myself a fanboy anymore because you jumped me on that one.
So now it looks like we're starting the runs on wide receivers.
Wide receiver time.
Still no tight ends off the board, even though Kyle Pitts is still out there. Generational talent be damned. He's just still sitting there.
He's still a tight end.
Yeah, this is
This
is true. All right, so this is a linear draft. I should have mentioned that before to all of our listeners and all of our viewers. As you know, most rookie drafts are. Do you guys know of any rookie drafts that are snake drafts? Does anyone do that?
The only way I know is if you do a startup and you do the rookie draft right afterwards, you do reverse order and they're both snake.
Okay.
That's the only time I've ever heard of a rookie draft snaking.
Okay.
Because if you do it other than that, you're just doing it wrong anyway.
True story.
Oh, there's Javonte Williams off the board before ETN, before Cam Akers.
Yeah, do we feel that's a bit early for Javonte here? Or, I mean, if Sean wants to build a team, I don't think Javonte is going to get back to him. So,
yeah, I think it's a little early. That's earlier than I would have him. I like I said, I'd at least have Travis Etienne over him. I actually have at least another running back or two over him. But hey, Javonte killed it his junior year. So,
look, he's super powerful. He runs in between tackles really good. And I mean, he probably would have had more touchdowns if it wasn't for Michael Carter vulturing him the whole time. But he's a really good back. He's built for the NFL.
I want to kind of flip the script here and go to what's happening right now. Cam Akers just went off the board at the 2-5. Is Cam Akers is he getting a little overhyped?
Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's getting kind of ridiculous.
There we go. Kyle Pitts at the 2-6.
All right. So with this pick, I get the 6th highest ranked player on my big board between these two classes, regardless of positional value. For me, it is Devonta Smith. He was my wide receiver 1 this year. I think he is uber talented and going to just tear it up as soon as he gets in this league.
And I thought he was going to fall to me too. I was kind of hoping he would. That's my freaking guy right there, Nate. So that's a good pick. But
I got to get my cue up here.
Yeah, but this is fun. I would do like a startup draft like this, man. The last 3 draft classes, throw in like that 2019 draft class with DK Metcalf and AJ Brown.
Oh man.
Well, would that be something you'd be interested in doing as well? We could add the 19 draft in another time.
If we do that, we got to start a league.
Can we do it right now so I can draft DK?
You can.
That's your boy, I guess.
And we get Kyler in there.
I'm a Seahawks fan. It's just
Josh Rosen.
Oh, okay.
No,
we'll sign me
That's
up.
a year ago.
Josh Rosen.
That's an extra year.
So this is great. This is actually working out pretty well for me so far. So, Pork, hope I didn't snipe you, but according to the chat, Nate, you did snipe Neil with your pick. So, but he'll be
an easy pick. I would have picked Devonta Smith in the first round.
All right. So for me here, I got JK. I got one of my top guys. I think I might go QB here. And I'm not being a fanboy. I was actually pretty much higher on him than I was with Tua. And I'm going to go Jalen Hurts.
Admittedly, I was very, very low on Jalen Hurts, and that was before the Eagles even drafted him. So
Now he's even lower.
now I love him because he is the
He
Eagles.
loves him now. Exactly.
I cheer for my team, man. Cheer for my team. All right, so Russ is wrapping up his pick here, and I'm going to go ahead and we're going to pause the draft again. Let's reflect on round 2, and the picks go this way from 2-1 to 2-12. We have Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Javonte Williams, Jerry Jeudy, Cam Akers, Kyle Pitts, Devonta Smith, Zach Wilson, Brandon Ayuk, Jalen Hurts, T. Higgins, Antonio Gibson. Porkman, kind of surprised you did not take Antonio Gibson. I know you're a massive fan of his.
I was not a massive fan of his.
He knows
even still, I know I see that he is putting up numbers. I'm still not the biggest fan, but I still see that he is doing well there. But I was not going to take him because that was not true to my board, Mr. Mike.
Do we see any surprises here in the second round?
I am completely surprised that Kyle Pitts fell this far.
Yeah.
I mean, Kyle Pitts is getting drafted 3-4 overall. I mean, in some Superflex rookie drafts this year. So the fact that he made it to the second round just seems a little
it means that we're smart here.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That just means we're smart. And it's not Superflex. So, I mean, it's not a tight end premium. Sorry.
Yeah, I caught some flack. I took Kyle Pitts high in a Superflex. Well, like middle 4 or 5. So I'm like, oh, you should have taken this available.
Blah, blah, blah. Right.
Yeah, but look, like I think it was Zach Wilson they were saying I should take. Well, Kyle Pitts could be the next Travis Kelce, and Zach Wilson could be the next Sam Darnold. So which one of those two do you want on your team? And like I tell people, sometimes just draft best player available. Porkman in the Sons of Dynasty draft this year, I had the 1-7. If you remember, I took Trevor Lawrence in a 1-quarterback league. Do I want the best quarterback that's available, or do I want to reach for Michael Carter at the 1-7 or a wide receiver that I don't really like there? I took the best player.
And I agree with that. Because, I mean, a lot of people was laughing that you took him there. But, hey, your team is in shambles. You need a quarterback. It's a 1 QB league. Take him. Why not?
Yeah.
Kind of like it's a startup. If it's a startup, that's a little bit different. Maybe you drafted kind of goofy. But, in the second year of a rookie draft, if Trevor Lawrence is there and your quarterback is Jake Luton and who else, you're good to go.
You have Kirk Cousins. Well, there was a time I was just picking up every available quarterback.
He definitely was, but hey, he made it work. He got the draft capital, and hopefully he can rebound this year or next year.
I had 15 draft picks in that draft. That was a fun draft.
Yeah, it was. You did pretty well with it.
Come on, Sean.
Man, what's Sean doing?
Trying to work a trade out.
Yeah, I'm trying to move up to take my guy.
Trying to get a trade up. There we go.
All right. Patriots fan.
Patriots fan. Exactly.
I still looked up and thought he took Marvin Jones. So,
I do think
good for him.
Every time I see it. All right, so if this was a normal rookie draft, this part of the draft, like right around 3-5-ish, is where it's going to start to get kind of gross. We might be thinking about trading out. Much like the Scott Fishbowl, we're going to have to take what we're given here. No trading allowed. So any strategy at this point, you kind of took your studs with your first 2 picks. Are we going best available here? Russ, what are you doing? Or what are you thinking? You're at 3-11 now. So what are you hoping falls to you?
Oh, I mean, when you get this late, it's all about upside, right? My draft strategy in general is draft for value, then you trade for need afterwards. So, I mean, I don't think I'm going to get cute in any way and, start scrolling down too far in my rankings to go randomly pick a guy. So I'll probably take one of the top 3 guys that I have in value that fall to me. I mean, at this point, if we're going to do 10 rounds, then I still have time to get cute later. In the 3rd round, I think I can still get a very solid guy with these 2 draft classes. So I'm going to try and stick to my board a little bit.
Realistically, I don't think it goes 10 rounds. We'll just say that.
I just want to say, if Big Papa Rhino actually had James Robinson as his RB7 last year, I'd be impressed.
Very much so. Hey, Nate, I think I know who your pick is next.
I think you do too.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Laviska Shenault was my wide receiver 3 last year, so it's a pretty easy pick here in the 3rd round.
I have to admit, I was too low on Laviska Shenault.
Same.
Also,
everyone still is.
I'm still low on Laviska Shenault. I'm not gonna lie.
I've come around.
He's gonna be a presence out there with Lawrence.
As long as he doesn't get hurt. That's my only issue is his injuries.
I'm not too worried about the injuries, man. It's not any worse than Van Jefferson. Come on.
Hey, come on. He didn't even get hurt.
He broke his foot, didn't he?
In the beginning, he even hurt since.
Exactly. Everyone's like, Travis Etienne, or they wanted Tony. Like, maybe like Laviska's not like that gadget guy. Like Laviska was never that gadget guy. Like by this news, man, people are like down on Laviska because they think that like Urban Meyer doesn't want him. Urban Meyer just said he looks at Laviska Shenault out there and he sees a physical specimen that could go out there and dominate on the outside. That's what Laviska is. That's what he always has been. He's not a gadget player.
No, he's not.
He's
he was just in a bad offense.
Yeah, he was in a bad offense. They just had to get him touches. He's going to be out there playing on the outside. He's going to be like a similar player to AJ Brown, honestly, I think. Just we'll see if that kind of upside is there. But like he's that kind of dominant outside presence. He just needs the offense, and he's got it now, it looks like.
Well, with my pick, I'd like another dominant outside wide receiver type. I think I had him as my wide receiver 2 or 3 last year. Denzel Mims.
Nice.
Hopefully, with him and Zach Wilson, they can get a nice little rapport. But physically, he's a physical specimen.
Yeah, and I like it because the Jets brought in a lot of possession guys, which leaves Mims to just be that big dude. So yeah. I'm here for it. Oh, and I took Jalen Rhaegar. I was pretty high on him last year, and I honestly love the fact that they brought in Devonta Smith for him because they tried to turn Rhaegar into an X, and that's not who he is. So I think I love that he's going to get all this underneath stuff. They're going to run some screens for him. So I really do think this is good for him.
I heard today that he's going to be playing some slots. So
mostly in the slot from what I heard. Yeah, which is great. I'm just going to let the draft keep going here. No sense in pausing it, but let's recap the 3rd round. So 3-1 through 3-12, we went Travis Etienne, Chase Claypool, Mac Jones, not Marvin Jones, Russ, Michael Pittman, James Robinson, who Justin Wright was very, very high on from what we could tell, Jalen Waddle, Laviska Shenault, Elijah Moore, and then I got to put my money where my mouth is, and at the 3-9 I took LaMichael Pirine. Denzel Mims goes to the 3-10 to Porkman. Hey, I was high on him, and keep in mind he didn't have a team yet in this scenario.
Oh no, I understand.
Jalen Rhaegar and Henry Ruggs goes at the 3-12. So now we are a few picks into the 4th round, and I just put in the chat. Probably going to stop this after 5 rounds, and then you'll just kind of review the draft from there. So
sounds about right.
Do we think Sean milks the entire clock? Because in the mock chat, Ben Eby from Lead Seekers was saying that Sean's mock draft sheet stopped after round 2. So, I like his pick. Rondale Moore at the 4th.
I like it as well.
I think that was a big slide for him.
For sure.
It was.
Oh, this is Bryant Edwards. Man, I had him in my queue ready to go.
The forgotten man, Bryant Edwards. Have we ever fell out of love with a prospect as fast as Bryant Edwards? Like everybody just hates the guy now.
They really do, though.
Are we buying Bryant Edwards then? If that's the case, Russ, if you're given an option to buy Bryant Edwards for, I don't know, mid to high 3rd round rookie pick, would you buy him for that?
Easily, yeah. I mean, we liked Bryant Edwards. We saw him be a little injured, and I think this team is going to. The Gruden hire to me was still so weird, but their offense has gotten better, and I don't know if Carr likes like this thing that he and Gruden have going back and forth, but it's made him a little better. So I think if Edwards can stay healthy, you have Ruggs on the outside, you have Edwards and Waller just getting all those targets in the middle, and like because they're not going to pass to Josh Jacobs, because why would you ever pass to a receiving back? So I like it. I think if he can stay healthy, I think he will be. I mean, he's not going to be a wide receiver 1, but he could easily be a very strong low-ish to high-end 3. And you need those on your team, especially like you said, if you can get him for a third, then that's a beautiful price.
Yeah, if you get him from a third and then he hits, you can flip him too for
easily
draft pick or even better, a better piece for the coming year.
Man, I got sniped. That was my man. Terrace right there. Well, got to keep going down my board. I'm literally just going right down my big board right now. I'm kind of throwing positional value out the window. I'm just picking my best prospect. So this is going to seem a little crazy, but next guy on my big board is Breven Jordan.
Dude, I was looking at him if he fell to me, so don't
you love
feel
some Breven.
His slide in the NFL draft. I still wish someone could tell me why that happened, but
yep, I don't get it.
He's so good, so I think it's a great pick in the 4th of this. Oh, and Freiermuth was also another one. That was a good pick. Yeah. I love Penn State pass catchers.
I'm gonna be like Mike and put my money where my mouth is.
Yeah, there we go.
There it is. Hey, it's
super high
Josh Reynolds isn't there anymore, man.
Yes.
Yeah, Josh Reynolds sucks anyway. So you already know.
How dare you?
I'm in a raw.
Just something where like half that family has played football in the NFL or in college, and all of them, when asked who the best wide receiver in the family is, they all said Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I'm like, okay, I believe you.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
All right. Not sold on Amon-Ra.
I gotta wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's like, oh, he's going to be like the next Cooper Kupp for Jared Goff, or like, oh, there's no one else there. I'm like, yeah, he's a 4th-round receiver, though. You know, once they get into day 3, draft capital's out the window. It doesn't matter if you're a 4th rounder or 6th rounder. You're not a 3rd rounder.
Oh, Bob got sniped.
Let's review the 4th round here. 4-1 through 4-12. Rashad Bateman, Michael Carter, Rondale Moore, Brian Edwards, the forgotten man that we mentioned before, Adam Troutman, Terrace. Is it Terrace or Terrence? I always get his name.
It's Terrace, Marshall.
I don't know why I always think it's Terrence. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Because that's a real name.
Yeah.
Terrace Marshall at 4-6. Brevin
Terrace
Jordan
is like a part of a building.
Yes.
That's right. Thank you. Keyshawn Vaughn. Talk about a forgotten man at the 4-8. Pat Freiermuth at the 4-9. Van Jefferson at the 4-10. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Great pick by Russ, I think. 4-11. And Trace Sermon at the 4-12. So we are a few picks into the 5th round here. And I think this is going to be our last round. And then
Sean's milking the clock again.
And of course he is. Yeah.
He doesn't know who you want.
Well, he's like Googling right now. He's like, who's the best sophomore?
He's Googling right now. How do I play fantasy football? Poor Sean. We should be nice to Sean. We love Sean here at the Dynasty.
Oh, yes, we do.
A lot of great stuff behind the scenes.
There he is.
Oh,
isn't relentless mocking how you show love to people? I mean, that's what I
absolutely.
Oh, that was one.
And last year's running back 1, Zack Moss, goes off the board at the 5.
Stop taking shots, Mike.
What was that face? It looked like you just took a shot with that face that you made. Bob, I'm going to need you to go back and watch this video. That face that Porkman just made, I need that blown up so we could do something with it, please. That's got to go on a T-shirt.
Why you always got to use my face for something? I know I look awesome.
I feel like that's a compliment, isn't it?
It is a compliment. Chef wears a shirt with my face on it almost every day, so it's great.
Ooh, okay. Well, keeping going. Going down my big board. Next guy up, also slid in the NFL draft. It's Tylen Wallace. I mean, I don't know how he fell to the 4th round. He's a very talented wide receiver. So maybe not the best landing spot for fantasy football, but he's going to be a good NFL player no matter what. I'm a little disappointed that I couldn't actually. So the guy I was hoping I would actually get sniped this time because the next guy after Tylen Wallace on my big board was Jamon Osborne. I knew no one was going to pick him.
You should have just took him. Boy.
Right. Well, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is right now. And if he was drafted differently, he wouldn't be here. But y'all know my love.
Yeah.
I'm staying on brand with my
brand. It's very on brand.
So 3 more picks, and then we're going to call it a draft here. Because
who are you? Are you Garrett Price? That's so on brand.
J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Stanley Morgan Jr.
Big facts. There's two people here I'm thinking
what
about
got me
that I'm higher on or not.
I had Stanley Morgan Jr. in so many places because of Garrett too.
But you also had
Isaiah
the
Cole.
other guy too. Oof.
See, I had him because he just seemed like he could do my taxes if I needed him to.
All right, so I'm gonna go with Kadarius Toney. I was pretty high on him too. I loved his routes.
Russ got sniped here.
Russ did get sniped there. All right, and I'm gonna go with another guy that fell like crazy for reasons. I get he didn't have a great year, but man, Chuba was thought of as like a top 5 pick the year before when he got held. He didn't get held back. He stayed
keep going,
back.
Mike.
You want me to?
Yeah, one more round, man. One more round. Let me pick Jamon Osborne.
I can't restart it now.
You can't restart it.
Oh my gosh. Sorry. Well, just know at 6, at 6'7", I would have picked Jamon Osborne.
And I was probably going to take out like KJ Hamler or Daz Newsome. So,
just in case everyone's wondering, in the draft here, Bob has declared himself the winner of the draft in the draft chat, and I say no. But let's review the draft. Russ, you're the guest. I want your thoughts first. Look at this board. Tell me anything that stands out to you. Any exceptional value you see anywhere.
I mean, we all said it when it happened. Travis Etienne going at 3-1 is kind of crazy when he went in the first and was thought of as a first last year if he were to have come out. Like Kyle Pitts in the second, I guess makes sense. Right now, the fact that a tight end is getting taken so high, I just can't bring myself to do it. But I mean, everything else, a lot of things fell pretty normal. I think like Antonio Gibson going ahead of ETN, a couple of quarterbacks, Michael Pittman. I feel like there's a bunch of, and even Chenault. Like I feel like you couldn't have taken away out of your mind what he did last year. Otherwise, I think it's. I mean, I don't think we did that. Like Rhaegar was a first round last year. The fact that he fell, I let my Higgins love get in the way and took him in the second, and I wasn't going to let Rhaegar fall past the third. This feels pretty. I mean, it doesn't feel. There's nothing looking at this screen that is making me throw my microphone and close my laptop and never want to talk to you guys again. So, like, I feel like that's pretty good.
I mean, I don't know if it's a surprise, but if we're talking about players that fell compared to the draft capital, the biggest one is definitely Kadarius Toney. He barely made it into this. He barely made it into this mock draft, and he was a top 25 pick.
True.
Yeah.
Which is why I almost took him right before.
Yeah, I saw him. It's kind of crazy because obviously the Giants are super high on the guy, but
or just bad at drafting.
Fantasy football.
But also, if we kept doing this draft for 10 rounds, I don't know if Tutu Atwell would even get drafted as a prospect. But he got drafted in the second round this year.
And for the record, one of the things that stands out to me, and it's Ben's last pick at 5'6", Jalen Darden, who's a huge Jalen Darden fan, hate his landing spot with Tampa Bay. And it's not that it's a bad spot necessarily. He's not going to get work.
Yeah.
That's why I thought there was other places that he could go. And I mean, it's a very, very crowded room. Now, next year, it could be different if they want to save money and they release Mike Evans. Maybe Chris Godwin doesn't get signed to a long-term contract. Antonio Brown goes batshit crazy and doesn't return. Who knows? So there could be potentially 3 opens, and then it's Tyler Johnson, Jalen Darden, and Scotty Miller is his name, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows? And it's one of those things where we hate it now, but
we hated AJ Brown to the Titans. I mean, that's pretty much we call not liking landing spots like the AJ Brown rule at this point, where don't push him too far down because of landing spot. AJ Brown, just remember AJ Brown. Like, so yeah, and especially that late, who cares? You grab him anyway and just hope something comes of it.
Yeah, things change so quickly. I mean, you look at a depth chart, and then a year later, that depth chart it can look completely different. So like.
Due to injury, or
if you're playing redraft, then landing spot matters for these rookies. But if you're playing Dynasty, I mean, if you're looking more than a year out, then landing spot doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree. Pork, does anything stand out to you?
Yeah, I mean, you hit on Kadarius Toney. The Chuba Hubbard thing to me, he's obviously talented, but he's not gonna really get too much playing time with CMC there. So that's one thing I saw. I feel like though the Nate said James Robinson thing was a little bit of a farce, but he is good, but as a prospect, he was on anybody's draft board at this time. Alexa said in the chat there was no quarterbacks taken after Mac Jones at the 303. That's really telling because
I guess
most of the
Jordan
quarterbacks
Love
after
should
that
have
was
gone,
kind of
right? I
no.
don't think I even saw him when I was scrolling through the.
Oh,
I didn't
Mike
see
or
it either.
Porkman should have taken Jacob Eason because they liked Eason last year.
I did.
We did love Eason, man. We loved Eason.
I know, but I didn't like him more than the Mims, Jefferson, or Tony this year. But I did like Eason a lot.
It's one of those things too where we're combining these classes, so it's hard. Like, yeah, I like this quarterback, and I was thinking about it honestly at the 4-9. I was like, there's some quarterbacks here, but then I'm like, man, Pat Fryermuth, I kind of like him a better, now. Like if they were all coming in together, I like this prospect better than these quarterbacks that might not play for 2, 3, 4 years or never.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
Also, I
true.
just want to point out too that I put out a tweet last night that Sleeper has Sam Bradford's ADP as 3 spots higher than Kellen Mond.
Yeah,
I
I
would
saw that.
say that I believe Jamie Newman, who is an undrafted rookie free agent of the Philadelphia Eagles, had a higher ADP than Trey Lance. Don't quote me on that, but I believe.
I think they'll fix it.
Well, we also have to let's call it what it is. This is just a testament to Sam Bradford's agent. All of those contracts, all of those teams, he duped them into giving him so much money. He called up Sleeper. He's like, look, no, there's a chance he's coming back. He's coming back. You get him higher on that ADP. And then he's such a good talker. They did it for him.
Yep, he keeps making money, man.
Yeah.
Then he comes back.
Hey, you know what they say?
With the extra sleeves.
Money talks and bullshit walks. And you know what they say? Fantasy sports was created to give participants the GM experience of a sports franchise. Look at that segue. I'm the master of it. But as fantasy sports became more mainstream with more accessibility to player information, it became more about who got lucky in the draft and who got to the waiver wire fast enough to pick up a player. Traditional fantasy sports lacks reality and rewards luck. It is not realistic to only focus on player performance and to not consider contracts. Do NFL teams assemble their NFL rosters without contracts? Of course not. What if you could create a game that was more like the real NFL? Allow me to introduce you to DynastyOwner.com. Dynasty Owner incorporates a salary cap and assigns players their real-life NFL contracts. It is no longer all about player performance. Every contract matters. 2021 season for Dynasty Owner has just begun. Starting at $29, you can play a fantasy game that lets you face similar decisions that NFL general managers and owners face. So start your dynasty today at www.dynastyowner.com and get your ass kicked by the Rewind crew. We are champions of what division again?
The
Expert
expert
League
division.
Yeah, and I can't take credit for that. That was all these other guys. They did a fantastic job running the Dynasty Owner team over there. So hats off to the rest of the Rewind crew. All I do is read the read-throughs.
And we're working on the collaborative effort so we can have our rookie draft this Friday. Of course, we have the 112 because we're the best team in the league.
Sounds good.
So we'll probably keep you guys informed of what we do from there, and we'll make it work.
Yep.
Yeah. So do as they do. Do as they say and as they do in this case. So before we head on out, does anyone want to just point anything else out about this draft board? Anything else stand out?
Nope. Except for last year's tight end class wasn't very good.
No.
So this one wasn't that great after the top 3. So just kind of how tight ends go these days.
Hunter Bryant was my tight end 1, so we'll see how that goes.
What's the tight end 1?
Hunter Bryant. Who, yours?
No, yours.
It was Hunter Bryant. Then he got hurt. Something happened before the draft, and he just fell off the face of the earth. It was like Breven Jordan this year.
I still don't understand that fall.
Yeah.
Like I feel like we need like some XFL stuff to work their way into the NFL. Like they talk to kickers after they miss kicks or stuff like that. Like we need to be able to like get sneak camera angles at GM's boards or laptops or something, and just one of them, like, don't give us a name, like make it super secretive if that's what you got to do. But seriously, like we need to know why this happened. It seems like there's no reason for it.
Yep.
Bob, you're always a hater. Freaking AJ. That's why he got sniped from AJ Dillon. You bum. He's a bum.
AJ Dillon's a bum.
Yes.
Follow me at Nate NFL. I'm out.
And did you see the picture of him standing next to Aaron Jones? It looks like his freaking shorts were crying. They were so freaking tight. We're the next size up. But.
That's because Kylan Hill walked by and he got excited. So,
hey-o.
I think we're going to end it there, though, at about 40 minutes. So that was a fun mock, Russ. Thank you again for joining us. It's been great having you on. Before we go, I want you to lead us out. Tell everyone again where they can find you and what you're up to.
Oh, I am at Dynasty Outhouse on Twitter. I do Trade Addicts Pod, Dynasty Game Night, the DLF Trade Show on YouTube. Just check out the DLF family of podcast stream and the Dynasty Addicts Podcast Network, and you'll get all of my shows and many, many other fantastic shows as well. Thanks for having me on. Yeah,
of course. And we'll have you back on again at some point. And Nate, where can we find you on Twitter?
Yeah, you can find me at Nate NFL. It's this off season. It's getting a little slow right now, but we're starting to build up. People doing the rookie drafts. We have OTAs going on right now. I'm ready for this season.
Okay, and yeah, it's slowing up unless you are a member of the Dynasty Rewind Patreon, patreon.com/Dynasty Rewind. Go hop on in there. Lots of good stuff. Great group chat. Right now we're doing 2 bonus pods a week for you guys, breaking down some lesser rookies, but we're still talking about them regardless. And Porkman, where can we find you on Twitter?
You can find me on Twitter at FFPorkman. Always, Mike said, join our Patreon. Should be some articles coming out, real good ones. I'm working on one myself, so hopefully you guys can sign up and get that going.
If you want to read it, you got to be a rewinder. And until next time, everybody, if you are so inclined, you can find me on Twitter at RewindCEO. If you love to draft but not set your lineups every week, make sure you check out Underdog Fantasy. They are now available in Pennsylvania. Your first deposit will be matched up to $25 using the promo code REWIND. That is REWIND in all caps. So go check out Underdog Fantasy, as well as our Patreon, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook. Just check everything out. Check us out on Twitter at Dynasty Rewind. And until next time, everybody, be kind. Please rewind. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening to the Dynasty Rewind. Please make sure you subscribe, rate, and review. And as always, be kind. Please rewind.